All right, let's see if this works. All right, cool. Hello, people. Let me get this out there real quick, and then we can go. Crap. Skip forward, people. We had technical difficulties. Skip forward.
Got it. Let me get it up to 2. All right, cool.
Skip forward. Technical difficulties.
Hi, Elliot. Get it up on the
Yep.
Cool. Give it the RT, the old RT.
Did you tweet it?
It is tweeted. All right.
Yeah, so go with the Joe for the hard news stuff on LPT.
All right, ready?
Mm-hmm.
What's up, Atlanta?
Oh, my.
What's up, Atlanta? This is the MOTS Podcast brought to you by Dirty South Soccer in the palatial 680 The Fan Studios. I am Eric Quintana, Josh Bagriansky in front of me, and joining me in place for the great Sam Franco, Mr. Joe Patrick, managing editor of Dirty South Soccer, your SB Nation station for all things Atlanta United. And gentlemen, do we have news and notes pertaining to Atlanta United and potentially next season? We've got news for this season and also potentially for next season. I guess in more ways than one.
Yep.
Gonzalo Pitti Martinez.
El Pitti.
The Pitti Party. Martinez to Martinez. Could that be a future goal call we hear?
Sounds like it. TYC Sports is reporting that we are going to meet his release clause at the end of the season, or by the end of the year. To bring him here. 15 million euros is the apparent number quoted.
And it's a release clause, right?
It's a release clause, which means that, basically River Plate can't hold out for any more than that. Basically, it would come down to
So we're not having like
the
a
player
Barco situation.
Yeah. It wouldn't. Yeah, that wouldn't happen. The only way that could happen is if it's some disagreement with the player with his contract or the agent. When it gets something, and it is important to call that out because his agent is also was the agent of Kaku, who moved to Red Bulls, and there was a bunch of bad stuff happening with that negotiation that went down to Red Bulls had to make some sort of ultimatum because they weren't getting a deal that they thought they were getting the goalposts moved on them. So I'm not saying that there couldn't be shenanigans here. There definitely could, but it wouldn't come from the club side.
I really hope there aren't any shenanigans. Is that a product of MLS, or is that just, or was the Kaku thing a product of MLS?
I'm not sure. I don't think it was. I think it was just.
I know the Barco stuff wasn't really. It was more just the club wanting more money and more stuff.
Yeah, I think it was just the agent trying to push for more money, more bonus, a bigger bonus in the clause. But anyway, it's been reported by, there are more sources starting to report. In fact, there's already some stuff on Twitter now circulating that he's having a meeting in a restaurant tonight with Atlanta United, and the talks are, very close.
So here's my deal. If you know where he is now, how do you not have people? I imagine people follow this character, Mr. Sebastian Schreur.
What?
I don't know. I'm not. It's SRUR. Schreur.
Oh, that's difficult.
Schreur. They got 87,000 followers. I imagine someone has seen the tweets. I imagine someone in the neighborhood has seen the tweets. Can we get a picture? Can we get some confirmation? Can we see who he's talking to? That's all. Is that too much to ask?
No.
In this age of transfer saga madness?
No, we need pictures. Did we get it? I don't think we got any of that kind of stuff from Barco, did
We
we?
didn't get that from anyone.
Yeah, that's weird.
We didn't get it from Tata. Like, you think Tata Martino in a restaurant somewhere,
Yeah.
someone's snapping a picture.
Well,
Right.
And what's
They
different
had
about
that.
this,
They had that 8-hour lunch meeting.
Someone saw it.
what's different about this is you're getting basically a real-time tweet, right? Saying it might even be as
It
we speak
sounds like
right
it,
now.
yeah.
He is sitting down with, I assume, representatives from Atlanta United to complete the deal. I think in terms of the player himself, you got to be excited about this. He's 25 years old. He's the complete product. We mentioned this on the radio show earlier. I mean, I think we can all kind of assume Miguel Almiron is gone in January, and you have a clear direction, a clear replacement of who to fill in from him. And he, unlike Ezequiel Barco, who needs some seasoning as a young player, needs some time to grow, this is a player that's going to fit in right away and I think contribute heavily, similar to the way that Almiron did when he started with Atlanta United.
Can I ask you a serious question?
Yes.
What song was playing in the background of your highlight video that you watched? Do you know?
Well, you put it on. I didn't know what it was. These highlight videos have just
They have the worst-
ridiculous music.
Worst soundtrack.
Is it a copyright?
It's not even.
thing,
Yeah, it's
or-
not. It's not even like a song. It's like
It's either some random techno song you've never heard of,
yeah.
or in the case of, I think, Barco, in one instance, it was Taylor Swift.
It kind of makes the
It's like-
player look worse, right?
Right.
I mean, like, just give me some good beats to at least get my,
It's like a Diplo beat with a Coldplay melody over the top, and it's like
Very
a mismatch of all these different types of things.
very strange stuff.
Sounds of lasers in the background.
You do sense some real laser, some laser situation when you listen to this music. But again,
I always just want to do drugs when it's over.
it is like a very,
Get some shrooms. Okay.
yeah, no, it really is. It's so weird. I mean, maybe they want you to have that high when you watch the highlights.
That's how they lure you into thinking
There
this
you go.
player is.
Yeah.
It's probably the teams that hire the people to make these, so that
They dull the senses so that you don't know any better at the time, and then you leave thinking, "Oh, this man's amazing." And that's how they got us with Barco.
We'll see. Yeah,
No,
that's
just
right.
kidding.
That's how they
Just
caught us.
kidding.
Right.
Just
right.
kidding.
Wait till some people jump all over that take. But I think this, in all seriousness, I think as a player, this is a guy that just broke into the Argentinian national team. Basically, he didn't go to the World Cup. I'm correct. He was not in the squad, but he's just basically broken in since then into the full national team.
got his
There
first
are
two caps
reports
in
that he's
September.
being monitored by Atletico Madrid. You've seen that stuff online, and also highlights look great. You look at his statistics, and again, obviously none of us have watched this guy extensively, but led the Primera in Argentina in dribbles completed last year, a league that is known for producing creative, good 1v1 players. He completes a ton of key passes, so he's creating a bunch of chances. He was among the tops in the league. So it just sounds like a guy that's going to fit in perfectly as a number 10 for Atlanta United. And more than that, just for an MLS side, little less Atlanta United, to be linked with a player of this caliber, I think shows how much the league is growing and just what an attractive destination Atlanta United is. Even with the rumors of your manager, Tata Martino, potentially having one foot out the door, you're still able to make a serious approach for a player of this caliber. It really speaks volume about what has been created in terms of the club in Atlanta.
It does make me wonder, because I've always, you heard it with Barco. Obviously, Tito wasn't, or Martinez wasn't, sorry, Martino wasn't in the picture when it came to Tito. From what Barco said, he didn't have a conversation with him the entire, I guess, recruitment process. I'm trying to think who else. I would assume Remedi's the same way. I think Remedi said the same thing. If this is another case where Tata isn't part of the process of recruiting these players, then I don't think we have to really worry about if Tata does leave, if this Argentine pipeline is going to go away, or this South American pipeline is going to go away. Because I don't think that's, again, assuming that this is all factual and this is the trend that's been going on with these players, we don't have to worry about Tata Martino being here to get these young players, young South American players.
Yeah, and in this case, sorry to interrupt you, Eric, but in this case, you're not just talking about a young player. You're talking about a player who is already he doesn't need to develop anymore. He's already the complete product. And again, I mean, Miguel Almiron was seen as a player where he's going to come to Atlanta United and go to Europe. This is a guy that could legitimately, and I know there's some issues with visas and whatnot.
Is that the only issue, though? Because it does seem strange that he wouldn't just make the jump to Europe.
I'm not sure, but I mean, from everything I've read, from the fact that this guy has broken into the national team, when you look at the statistics, this is a guy that a lot of us have actually heard of. You know, I mean, like a lot of the names that you hear Atlanta link with, I really enjoy watching South American soccer as much as I can. But usually it's it's a name like a Franco Escobar, or even a Gonzalez Pirez, players who are good, but not a guy who's in the forefront of the league. This is one of the top players in Primera today. And I think he'll come straight to the league and be a star. But the big thing for me is what you said, Eric. We've talked about this so much. Will Man United still have that pipeline into South America, specifically Argentina, after Tata Martino goes? I think this shows quite clearly, yes, you're still going to be able to go and get those players.
Assuming the conversation between Tata and this kid never happened, which I gotta think, considering in the middle of the season, unless it's by phone or something, which I don't know. I believe Tata and the things he says about his future, about especially when it comes to what the players have said about him and during the recruitment process. Sure, he's like he's basically an institution in Argentina, but I don't get the sense that they would just make that up. And no, he hasn't talked to me. If anything, you'd want that to be a selling point,
right?
And that's not. So you would say, yeah, he initiated contact and all that stuff if that were to happen. But in this case, it doesn't look like it happened. It doesn't look like it's ever happened with Tata Martino. So it leads you to believe that someone else in the front office is doing just that. The big question Sydney Hunt brings up is it PT or Pity?
That sounds like something Mr. Quintana should be answering, not Mr. Patrick or Badriansky. So I'll cede to you on that.
I would assume PT.
Is it a word in Spanish?
I honestly have no idea.
I put it in a Spanish-English translator last night, and it just spit out the same word on the other side.
So we don't know where this comes from or anything.
Yeah, I'd love to know the genesis of this nickname.
I went to his Wikipedia page, and I didn't see anything. Interestingly enough, I went to the Spanish-language version of Wikipedia, and I love, instead of saying club career for the little section, it just says trajectory, which is a much cooler way to phrase that.
It's good.
Elliot Bevan, I don't know, Elliot Bevan or Bevan, says on the YouTube chat, and it's a great question. What do you get from PT that you don't get from Miggy? And I think what you get is a person that's more suited to play the Miggy role than Miggy is.
In some ways.
Yeah, the number 10 role. I think you get more quality in front of goal in terms of his ability to score, his ability to strike the ball. You get more.
Oh, this is based off highlights. So
better maneuverability in tight spaces. I feel like Miggy's more of a dynamic player when he's running into a lot of space. When he's got players on their heels, he's a faster player. He's faster on the ball than Pity probably is. But Pity's going to be more of a traditional 10. I've always felt like Miguel is almost a little bit of a square peg in a round hole type of situation, with the fact that he's just playing in a traditional number 10 role playmaking behind a striker here in Atlanta, which is not really what he did at Lanús before he came here, and it's probably not what he's going to be when he leaves here either. But I think with Pity Martinez, you get a classic attacking midfielder who could probably also play on a wing if you need, like as a midfielder cutting inside. So I think he kind of fits exactly what you want.
Right. I think to kind of get more specific with the question itself, I think you're getting a player that's going to provide a little bit more consistent end product than what you got from Miguel Almiron, and that's the reason that Miguel Almiron is seen as more of a box-to-box or a wide player, because he's not, and we've talked about it all year, he's not a great finisher. He does miss on that final ball at times. This is a player, I think, who's going to consistently find that, incisive pass, definitely provide some end product in front of goal, which I think in some places is some things that Atlanta United have missed. What is interesting to me is we mentioned Tata Martino and Eric, how he's not heavily involved in going and identifying players. We're seeing a player in Martinez who doesn't excuse me, PT, right? PT. Who's
PT? You said to put your hands
like it does sound more like Italian, yeah. Like, but you've got a player who his defensive work rate, and there are so few attacking players with the defensive work rate of Miguel Almiron, but it's not the same. And I think again, you're seeing a player come that doesn't fit Tata Martino's system right away. The same as we saw with Ezequiel Barco. So again, we're seeing that it's not Martino who's going and I would assume identifying these players and recruiting them to Atlanta United. It's a much more methodical, analytics-driven process. And again, we're seeing a player who's not giving you the defensive work rate that Miguel Almiron gives you, not as effective in the high-pressing system Tata Martino likes to play. So I think he brings more of some of the traditional 10 skills to the table, but maybe some of the things that Tata Martino would want, he doesn't necessarily have.
If we're going to speculate about how this has come together and made
That's
a
what we
possibility,
do here, we don't say
no, of
anything.
course.
This is irresponsible.
I'm going to say I would speculate that this is more down to or points to an improvement in Atlanta United's recruiting and basically their connection with agents and that kind of thing. Yeah. I don't know if it's as much of a analytics proposition because he's one of the top players playing for one of the top teams in Argentina. It's not like this guy is kind of coming out of nowhere. It's not like
they've unearthed him,
Right. It's not like a Joseph Martinez situation where we're finding him, on the bench in Torino. But that said, I think it does speak volumes to the fact that we find ourselves in a situation where we have actually good relationships or relationships that offer potential with good players in Argentina. I think that can't be overstated enough. And I think it just goes to show that whether Tata is going to be here or not, that Atlanta will be able to kind of continue this pipeline. And it shows, I think that not only will it continue after this, but I think that this move kind of, sets that standard of us being a destination for Argentines.
What's cool is that what PT Martinez, really what he gives you is a player that can, because I look at Almirón, and again, not that he's a bad player or anything like that, but he's really suited to play alongside a guy like Tito, in my opinion. Not so much against a guy like Barco. And if you look at the future of his team, PT Martinez seems to be like a guy that can play with both. He can pick out that pass long to a guy like Tito. He can also play in close quarters with a guy like Barco.
And I think people might miss that he's also, I'm talking
about the future of Atlanta United. I understand Barco obviously is on the bench right now.
Right.
I get that.
And but we all assume that this would mean Almirón goes and Barco comes back in with PT sliding in. But I think it's interesting to bring up. He is a player that can play on the left or right, no problem as well. So you might see Barco slide into that cam position next year as well. I think that he's someone we're going to see across that front three, whether it be on the right, the left, or through the center. So a very, very versatile attacking player as well.
I love how creative he actually looks in his highlights. I haven't seen him play much on the international stage, but I based off his highlights, he looks like he wants to. It looks like he's playing street ball, honestly, at times. And I feel like that is the one aspect of MLS that you don't get anywhere, is that you don't see guys trying to be creative. I'm not saying he's going to be this guy all the time.
Well, that's a problem that's been with American soccer in general.
Yeah, you don't see these guys, and obviously he's not American, so that it's not something that America created. But you don't see it a lot in MLS. You don't see guys trying to do cool things. You see a little bit with Atlanta United with the back heels and the Joseph with the through ball and the dummies and everything. So you're going to see it even. It's going to be much more fun to see Atlanta United play, assuming he is a as important of a factor as he looks to be on video. Assuming he can adjust well with his team and basically fill in the role that presumably Miggy's going to leave. It's going to be a fantastic team to watch.
I agree, and I also want to mention, we're kind of talking about this like it's already done when it obviously isn't. But I think the reason we're all
the South American press is talking about it, it's done.
It's obviously true, right? I mean, it's obviously true.
It's done.
When have they ever made anything up down there? But the reason that I think the three of us, having followed these rumors for all these South American players that have come to Atlanta United closely in the past, the reason that we're so sure about this is because it's following a lot of the same patterns in terms of almost all the guys that came and signed here. First of all, when you look who reported it, Cesar Luis Merlo for TYC Sports. This is a guy that was all over the Ezequiel Barco transfer early, and more importantly for me, he was all over the Franco Escobar transfer early, which was not, everyone was trying to get the Barco story, but he was all over the Escobar transfer months before it went down to the point where we were talking about him as the next Atlanta United right back at about this time, I guess a little under a year ago. So the patterns of this reporting, who's reporting on it, aligns very similarly with how we've seen the build up to Atlanta United signings previously. So it really, really seems like this is almost done.
I do wonder how much, assuming it's someone like Bocanegra, Darren Neal, whatever, whoever's making these decisions and going after these players, I assume it's Bocanegra. I wonder how much of a factor Barco's future, Barco's style of play, along with Tito's and Joseph's, that comes into play. Or are we just grabbing him up because he is one of the top talents in South America? Why wouldn't you take him if he's there?
I think it's more that because it's a tough situation because you don't know who your manager is going to be next year. So it's hard to find who's going to fit in and who's not. And this is a guy I think that if you can't fit him into your team, that's your problem.
Yeah. for sure. And I would warn people when a story like this comes along, you have to be wary of kind of the afterquakes, the aftershock reports or rumors that'll come out, because part of this report that he's coming here is kind of predicated on the premise that Miguel Almiron will be sold in the offseason.
Which I'm not 100% sold on yet.
Okay, well, that's
me personally.
Okay, but of course, so with that, you will start to see lots of rumors about, Miguel Almiron is on his way to Arsenal to clear room for Pity Martinez to come to Atlanta, and it'll be for this amount of money. So I would be wary of those because, outlets, especially minor, just outlets trying to gain followers or whatever, will try to pick up on this story and use it to their advantage.
I think one of the DPs has to. Something has to be done with one of the DPs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Either someone's got to get bought down with Tam or someone's got to go.
Yeah, and then there's
it's not gonna be Barco. I really don't think it's gonna be Tito. Sorry, Tito's not even a DP anymore. It's not gonna be.
No, they bought him. Yeah, I mean, the only option would be to buy down.
The one that makes
the
one that makes the most sense is Almiron,
right?
Which I think I want to say that between the two, I think Joseph is cheaper, so you probably buy him down before you buy down Almiron.
Yes. Yeah, he's on less money, but they're both. I don't think they'll be able to buy down either one of them to be perfectly honest. But I do. Sydney Hunt said, "What are options if Joseph leaves as well?" I mean, I don't know. I don't think both of them are going. I think that would be too much movement, and they're not under any real pressure to sell. But I do think that there could be a chance that, like you said, maybe Miguel doesn't go, but Joseph goes. And that's the way you clear a DP spot. I don't think that's what's happened. I think Miguel will go. There's been plenty of rumors, pointing to the fact that he wants to be playing in Europe in 2019. And I also think that this is the whole transfer cycle is actually kind of working out well for MLS teams in general, in my opinion, because I feel that in the past, teams didn't really want to spend in this winter window, which is the main window. It's the off-season window for MLS, but it's, in larger Europe, it's not. Yeah. And I always felt in the past that teams didn't want to spend that much money there because they had their budget set at the beginning of the year, and it was just tradition, really. But I feel like in the last 5 or 6 years, there's been a steady increase in spending during this window, and so I think that could end up playing out well for MLS and specifically Atlanta in this case.
I say that I'm not completely sold on Miggy leaving yet. Now, it's not that I'm completely. I think he's eventually going to get sold. I just think that we're going to be I think the number we're going to see is not going to be what we expected.
I think it'll be around that 15 million number, though. I mean, which is, again, like you said, less than was expected. The rumors were 20 million plus. Something that's what's interesting is I think the valuation for Almiron is basically similar to what the release clause is for Martinez. So I don't think there's any coincidence there. One thing that's interesting to me is, so we're talking about the players might come or go, but what about the players we know are going to be back next year? And Elliot asked in the chat, well, what happens to Andrew Carleton if you bring in a PT Martinez? Does he have a starting role on the team, or is he still a bench player? You're going to see him more. I mean, is this yet another example of Atlanta United going and recruiting a player that's going to knock Carleton down the pecking order a bit?
I mean, I think if there's one thing I've learned under Tata, it's that he's not giving away a spot to a homegrown to try to, not just for marketing or anything, but
appease the fans.
Yeah. Anyone who gets in the team is going to earn it. And let's look at George Bello is earning that spot. He's he's showing himself to be the best left back or left wing back available on the roster, and that's why people want him in. I don't know, Andrew Carleton has not really made a case to be in the starting lineup, and I don't think that
even though he's played great.
He's been fine. He's been fine, but it's tough, and I will admit it's tough for him because he plays a position where this team spends a lot of money, and rightfully so. This team spends a lot of money there, so it's going to be harder for him. It's going to be much easier for a guy like George Bello to make his way into the squad at left back in MLS, but I don't think that, as far as what his future is, I think that, he's just going to have to come off the bench and continue to force himself into the team, make the manager question whether he should be in the starting lineup or not. I mean, that's just the way the sport works in general around the world. And like I said, it's unfortunate for him that he's kind of in a more difficult circumstance to make that happen. But if it can happen for him, he'll be all the better for it. I know, like there's a lot of talk about like in Germany, you know, they put kids in the first team more often. They're homegrown kids, and you know, that's a very deep and complex question that would take a lot of time to talk through. But you know, I don't think you can fault Atlanta United for going after these players, despite you know having Andrew Carlton in the ranks is a help. You know, it's not a hindrance to have him. It's great to have that kind of depth, and if he can force himself into the team, then that's great.
Yeah, I do kind of feel bad for him.
It doesn't almost.
Thing is, I feel bad for him. I don't, because he chose to stay here.
Yeah,
there are players that came from the same Georgia United squad that he was on that have already made their way to Europe, are already on starting squads, and he chose to stay here. He had an opportunity to essentially do the same thing they're doing. Wait till he's 18. Is he even 18 yet?
I think he is.
He's 18.
And again, he could have made his move then. And I think the thing that
yeah, I mean, you look at Zion Jones, who played with them, played in the Atlanta United Academy, did not sign with an Atlanta United contract, instead went to Schalke.
Juan Pablo is playing for some team in Belgium. I honestly forget the name. I don't even know how to pronounce it. And I don't think he's starting or anything, but I'll put it this way, I have seen him play on TV. Again, it's a decision he made. It's a decision that I guess he felt was best for himself at the time. And he's going to have opportunities later on in his career. At some point, he's going to get a gig somewhere, whether it's with Atlanta, whether it's with a place in Europe. Someone's going to give him a shot, more so than I guess Atlanta can give him right now. It's not they don't want to give him a shot. Is that I think they feel like they just can't right now. Outside of with Atlanta United too, and U.S. Open Cup games. That's about it. Rumors in regard to Tata Martino are even more interesting. He gets on a Paraguayan radio station, starts talking about the details regarding kind of what the process has been like with him and Atlanta United. Let me read some of these tweets as soon as I can pull them up.
And he didn't drop any bombs. I mean, we don't say bombshells, but like when he went on Colombian radio last month, he kind of created. He didn't create, but he kind of flirted with the Argentina job and the Colombia job. Said they were both great programs. This was a little bit more diplomatic, I thought, with his responses.
So Tata Martino basically saying, sometime I don't know if it's AM 1080 Paraguay. I don't know if that's the name of the radio station or if that's just indicating where that radio station is from. Tata saying, sometimes as people, we have a life that includes many elements, and not only the professional side. We have to look at everything before committing to a contract. Even more when it's a national team contract, with the national team that usually implies 4 years. I don't know. I haven't listened to the interview, so I don't know exactly in what order these comments came in. I assume they're chronological, but if he mentioned this first, talking about the national team, he later mentions we have to keep our heads up. We are very focused on getting the goals done with this club, Atlanta United, and then talks about how he's obviously going to come to a decision with Atlanta United first before he looks at any other possibilities. But if he's talking about the national team stuff first, it makes me think that he's thought about it, or he knows stuff is coming. He knows taking into consideration. I
think that's evident in him talking about his personal situation. He talks kind of it reads to me like his family. Like when he talks about there being more involved in the decision than just the professional surface level reasons that fans would be interested in. There's more levels to this, and so that's what kind of piqued my interest in all these comments. And honestly, it kind of worries me a little bit, but it's not something that we weren't aware of. I mean, there have been reports out there that it's an uncomfortable situation with him managing